And she's a badass fantasy football prognosticator because a week ago, during week one of our fantasy with Lisa Ann, she told us Brandon Cooks, who had 7 or 8 catches. I don't think he scored a touchdown.
He had like a solid.
But he had 80, 90 yards, right?
In the Yahoo league I'm in, I think he had like 10 or 11 points.
Okay.
Just solid, fine.
And she gave us Tua against the New England Patriots. And again, he didn't have like a Mahomes day, but I wasn't asking for that. I was asking for, at least last week, give me a couple sleepers that you think will have good weeks. And always happy to have Lisa Ann, the real Lisa Ann, on our show. Lisa, Craig, and Evan, how are you, babe? And congrats on a great first week.
Yeah, thanks. It's really just about finding that cheap play. So if you're building a DFS lineup, like you said, a sleeper, you have a lot of money left to get in some studs. Tyreek had a big day as well, and you're right, 270 yards for Tua isn't that big of a deal, 1 touchdown, but no interceptions is a big deal, and it shows a sign of promise for his season ahead.
Yeah, now this is, I thought last week the matchups were just from an entertainment standpoint, just better football games, but that's got nothing to do with how you prognosticate or pick guys to start. I want to be clear. I'm never asking Lisa Ann to come on the show and say, hey, I like Pat Mahomes. I like Aaron Rodgers. We're trying to find guys that you can put into, especially, what she says, DFS, your daily fantasy sports teams that maybe give you an edge because you get great value out of them. And although I don't play fantasy anymore because I can't, I just want to walk, kind of novices through this. Most of those leagues, every player, and I know I'm talking down to people here that know better, and I don't mean to, but just for the people that are new to it, and there's a lot of people that are gambling now and playing fantasy for the first time, you have a salary cap, and every player's got a value. So one of the reasons I wanted Lisa to come on, because she's a legitimate expert, trying to find great value. So who is on your radar, Lisa, this week that most guys might not be thinking about?
No one believes in Carson Wentz, but what he did last week, it wasn't great. 27 completions out of 41 attempts, but he did get in 313 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those interceptions were what keep his price down. He is still only 5,800 on DK. That gives you a lot of room to put other players in, and I love this matchup against Detroit. We saw Detroit's leaky defense. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish.
Detroit's leaky defense is going to lead me to also pair him with Terry McLaurin. Scary Terry will get it done. He had a touchdown, 58 yards on 2 receptions last week. I think that it's going to be even bigger for both of them this week.
Now, you mentioned McLaurin. What about that rookie, Jahan Dotson, who had a great debut for Washington? Should we buy that this can be a big rookie season from him? How do you feel about his performance moving forward?
We can buy, but I don't want to play on a high note for 2 weeks in a row for a rookie, right? They're going to see that come down. We're going to see defenses game scheme against him. They're going to be looking for him and maybe make some more gaps for Terry McLaurin. I think they can both get some action though, because Detroit's secondary, not so good.
I tell you what, I would be all over the Green Bay Packers wide receivers. If Lazard plays this week, and I think that's still questionable, but he may play, only scoring 7 points last week. They're playing against the Bears, who stink. Aaron Rodgers has been all over the news of throwing his teammates under the bus. And if there was ever a game for him to break out as a great quarterback, whether it's Watkins or Lazard if he plays, or Aaron Jones or somebody, I think if you could be on an inexpensive Green Bay Packer player, I would be all over that. How about you?
Yeah, don't forget about the tight end, Robert Tonyan, as well. And, this is the same way the season started last year for Green Bay. They had a horrible loss week 1, and then week 2, Aaron Rodgers straightened everything out and came out there and played. So this is going to be one of those turnarounds, and I see Tonyan as a good play as well.
Are you worried about Najee Harris?
I'm not. Saying that he's going to be back out there is a big thing. I think they were just being really careful with Najee, which is smart, right? It's a long season. Got that extra game now. We're planning for the big leagues, but I'm not worried about him this week. He came out today and said he's willing. He's going to play. He's good to go.
Is there ever a consideration, Lisa Ann, that you would put a Jet or Giant, not named Saquon Barkley, on a fantasy team this week with the Giants at home, 1-0. The fans are going to be off the hizzy, excited for them to maybe go 2-0 against Baker Mayfield and the McCaffrey and the Panthers. And, of course, the Jets on the road against Cleveland. Is there a play there for Danny Jones or Sterling Shepard or
Michael Carter
or anybody in either one of those games?
In order of the ones you just named, I would say Sterling Shepard, Daniel Jones, Michael Carter. I mean, Sterling Shepard showed us last week he's still here. And look, Saquon looked great. Hopefully he can keep this momentum through the season. But what an awesome win for the Giants. What an exciting end to a game and just what New York needed for their football team.
Isn't the real play the Browns defense because of how putrid?
Suck.
No. But Lisa, am I wrong here? Miles
You are
Garrett
correct.
could maim Joe
Okay.
Flacco on Sunday.
I drafted the Browns defense in half of my season-long leagues just for the first 4 weeks of the season.
That's what I'm saying.
When you're looking ahead at their matchups, you got to go for it. And you know what? Everybody was like, and look, Cleveland was there in the last round. Everybody forgets. Everybody forgets about Miles. Everybody forgets about Cleveland. Yes, play the Browns defense again this week, next week, and the following week.
But New York Jet hatred.
No, it's reality.
And rhetoric, and I won't stand
It's
for
reality.
it from either one.
Turnovers, sacks. Cleveland could put up like a 30-point fantasy day against this
By
team.
the way, if I may, I'm just going to say a little prayer here for Joe Flacco. JoJo, if you just have one game left in that ancient body of yours, could it please be this Sunday so I can shut my partner up, and when Lisa comes on next Friday, I can do my little victory dance. That's all
I want to do a victory dance too. I'm with you. I want to be wrong. Hey, every
yuck.
year, Lee said every year there's a guy who has a monster. Christian McCaffrey a few years ago, and then there's a stat at the end of the year: 46% of fantasy champions had so-and-so. Is this the year of Justin Jefferson? He had a monstrous week one. It could have been bigger. I think he had one touchdown where he had 1 foot out of bounds. Is he going to be that guy at the end of the year where we say, boy, if you drafted Justin Jefferson, yeah, you probably won your fantasy league?
Yeah, ironically, when you started that ask, I thought you were going to ask me the player, and I was going to say Justin Jefferson. I think every fantasy owner that drafted him is already thinking that way. It's always if he can stay on the field, right? But that game last week was incredible. And I think Jerry Jeudy went a bit later in drafts, but still the upside is there. 2 JJs going at it pretty hard, but Justin Jefferson is going to be that guy this season.
By the way, I'll give you a guy that, again, it's so week to week, and guys get overvalued, undervalued, and I want to be clear to the people listening. This is a service for all you guys. I cannot play fantasy football as a compulsive gambler, but I respect the fact that our audience is very into it, which is why I'm not bringing up any financial aspect of this. A lot of people also play for fun, so that's my role in this. So I just want to be respectful to those of you that are listening, asking why I'm involved in this particular segment. But there is a guy who had a terrible first game. They gave him $30 million guaranteed, I think $50 million overall, and that is Allen Robinson on the Rams. Now, if you believe that great teams bounce back after bad early performances, and you add to that the fact that the Rams haven't played, it seems like a month, right? First Thursday of the season, I would say that a guy like that, maybe he sneaks under the radar because he had one catch for 12 yards. That's the guy that the Rams have to get cooking.
I couldn't agree with you more. And if you look at the fact that Cooper Kupp cannot do that much work every single game and make it through the season, I mean, there's just no way. And there's also no way defenses are going to allow him to be that wide open week after week. That was surprising. Cooper Kupp is a monster, but you're right. They brought A-Rob in for a reason. Just like last year, they brought in OBJ. It does take a minute to get that synergy going. And I think we're going to see it happen. I'm not extremely high on A-Rob, but I am much higher than his production was week one.
I mean, one catch, 12 yards. They gave no joke. $30 million guaranteed. You better do better than that.
Do you see Deebo Samuel's role changing in any significant way with this Elijah Mitchell injury? I mean, we know he runs the football. He's targeted a bunch of times, but now he's going to be out for a few weeks. Do you see a change in his value now?
I do, and I think he's going to be forced to admit the fact that he's going to have to play running back again a bit, where he really wants to be more of a wide receiver role, and that's something that he's addressed in press, but he's got to do it, and he should do it because he's good at it. It's going to change a lot. It is amazing that it's week 2, and we're already re-strategizing over injuries and listening to people like Jerry Jones, who says that Dak can be back at less than 4 weeks after thumb surgery. I mean, it's just silliness.
Well,
you got to plan for the demise.
I'll be, just to be a little technical on that, apparently that injury to Dak's thumb, there's 2 different types. It's called intra something or whatever. I'm not going to get all technical. And it's whether or not the wrist is involved. And if the wrist gets involved, then you're right. He's out probably for the year. But it never got down to the wrist. So the belief is that once he's able to grip a ball, they'll shoot him up with Toradol or cortisone, and he'll be able to play. And that's why, Jerry Jones is being an uber optimist, but the fracture didn't extend down to his wrist. So make of that what you will. I don't know. I mean, the Cowboys are in a lot of trouble. They're going to stink. And that's great news for Giant fans who play the Cowboys a week from Monday night at MetLife Stadium. Lisa Ann, if people want to check you out, what is the best way for them to find you on social media?
All things are the same at The Real Lisa Ann.
The Real Lisa Ann.
How did you do? Because I remember when we spoke to you a few weeks ago, you're in like 30 leagues or whatever the number was. How was week 1 for Lisa Ann?
Week 1 was decent, about a 70 percentile across the board. I did draft 12 teams that I gave away to friends, but I'm co-managing for them. Friends that I really want to get into fantasy. They're all free leagues. I thought it would be fun for them. So I said, hey, I'll handle the draft for you. I'll help you with your lineups, but I think you'll follow more. You'll enjoy the games more. And, there was some last minute, like behind my back tinkering that I had to reach out and ask, why? Why are you doing this? So it's been fun for me to bring other people in. It's such a great way to strengthen your bonds with friendships all over the world. And so I did well, about 70%.
70% is not decent. 70% is awesome.
Does that mean that means you won 70% of the leagues you're in week 1?
Yeah,
You're
but
badass.
70% is not decent when you do this for a living, when you sit and listen to news every day, when you watch every bit of content coming out there. I just feel like I should be at an 85 to 90 at all
Love it.
times.
By the way,
It's a high standard.
she
I
knows her
respect that.
stuff, man. I don't care what anybody says. It may be more than any other football guest we've ever had on. Lisa knows her stuff, and she's a friend of the show, and we appreciate you doing it. Have a great weekend. Fingers crossed for you that you do even better than 70%, and we'll hook up again with you next Friday. And be well. Take care. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, the real Lisa Ann. Listen, I know all you guys are playing it. She's maybe the best at it.